Welcome to the second in our webinar series for the Golf Association of Philadelphia on the USGA Tournament Management Program. My name is Mario Mackey, and I'm here today with Steve Latos. We're going to take you through leagues in USGA TM and some highlights of some best practices for leagues. And we're excited to be with you today. This is the second of our 4 webinars over the next 2 weeks. We also have portals next Tuesday, talking about the web portals in the program, and reports next Thursday. So use the same email you used to sign up for these to get signed up for those as well. But again, today we're focusing on league play. I do have my screen shared here. So if anyone has trouble hearing or cannot see the screen, please comment in the chat or questions bar there on GoToWebinar, and we'll get you straightened out. As well as use that questions tab there to submit any questions throughout the process. We'll take a few questions breaks throughout, and Steve and I will both be monitoring those between our presentations to make sure we've answered any questions that come up. Again, talking leagues today. So leagues can be anything from a weekly league for your Tuesday 9-hole senior group to a type 3 club that plays different courses every Saturday, or even if you're a private club and you want to set up a game for your Saturday or Sunday morning group each week. All that can be accomplished in leagues within the program. So one other thing to point out that's nice in leagues is you can set up a league manager specifically for your league that only has access to that league and none of your other events in USGA TM. So if you're at a club and you have a golfer who runs that league every week, you want to add them as a league manager, you can do that and give them access to the program, to that league as well. It's a very easy thing to do. Right there under the league managers, under the league menu, just add, remove, reinvite manager. You can do that there as well. So let's look at today. Again, we're talking best practices. One of the things we always recommend, no matter what you see today, is using this little help menu on the left-hand side. You click that help menu, it pops up the box that gives you the ability to search the knowledge base. And for example, if you just type in leagues here, you're going to see some primers, the league event profile, the basic golf tutorial for leagues, managing guests in leagues, some of the same things we're talking about today, but there is a knowledge base article for almost everything there, and we really encourage you to use that when you can. Today, what I'm going to talk about first is how to create a round robin schedule for your league. In the example we have here today, we've created a sample event in our test club here, and this example is a team league, 2-person teams that are playing every week. In this particular league, the first 11 weeks have already been created and played. So for this example, we made a series of rounds for this webinar to show you how you can create the round robin for, in the example here, for the remaining half of the league schedule. So here's how we create the round robin. You go under the league menu here, you'll see the round robin schedule option under multi-round tools, the second option there. You would just click that, and we can go here. You see there's a schedule created. We can recreate. We'll click the recreate here. It says, what rounds are we talking about? Again, we created a series for the March 11th webinar. This is the webinar series for that. It's rounds 12 through the rest of the schedule. It is the teams one. We don't have flights here. We can change how we're assigning teams to seed by the order of the teams, alphabetical, whatever we want. We're going to leave these all the same. The round robin schedule consists of the first however many golfers on each team, or you can use blank to do all golfers. We can say the first 2 golfers on each team. And we can leave it at foursomes. It'd be either foursomes A and A versus B and B, or twosomes A versus B. I'm going to click next here. It's going to say, are you sure you want to continue? I'll say yes. And what this is going to do is build out our round robin schedule. You can see here's our rounds for this series. It's round 12 through round 21. And we can now set the course and tee for the rounds. Our course, I'm going to say we're at Jeffersonville Golf Club. For this purpose, I'm just going to say we're doing all 18 holes. It's a little easier because we don't have to go through these 9 or 10 rounds I have here and set front 9, back 9 on alternate rounds, just for the sake of expediency for our presentation here. And we'll say we're doing this off the green white tee, and we're going to do tee times that start at 4 p.m. at a 10-minute interval. We can also apply the same settings to other rounds. I'm going to check all. We're going to do this across the board. Again, just in the interest of time, if you did do front 9, back 9 alternating weeks, you could say, go here and pick front 9 and select every other round and do this process again. We'll hit save here. That's going to save. We'll close it, and we'll save changes and continue. You see it's got us on Jeffersonville Golf Club, 4 p.m., the green white tee for the men. And now what this is doing is it's processing the round robin schedule. Those of you who've used this program before are familiar with this screen. Anytime we're creating processes here, whether it's running leaderboards or running reports, this is the screen that shows progress is being made on these for us. And that it can show you right there that's creating all of the different foursomes for our events throughout here. And so now after we've got these created, you can see here, here's our divisions for every, or our pairings for every week, round 12 through round 21. You can see it split us up here. I'm going to show you now how this would work in a practical example. Let's look at the pairings. So again, this is round 12, but let's say there's a change or something to be made. If I go to round 12 here, I can edit the existing pairings. This is going to bring up our pairing list. We did tee times. Let's just say in this example, Dan Schofield here paired with New Golf Guy. If they were paired in this group here, and we wanted to swap pairs, so in the example given here, if they couldn't be at that specific time, we wouldn't want to probably do that in a round robin. But again, you could go make individual changes here and just click them and click in another spot to swap them with. I'm going to cancel that. Wouldn't be necessary, but just you do see the warnings here telling us how many times people are playing together here. But we are all set on this. It's created the round robin schedules. We can go back and run a full report of that if we needed to. In the interest of time, we're not going to do that here, but a very basic, simple process to create a round robin schedule for, in this case, 10 rounds. Now, using the same look, let's say substitutes. This is one of the most common questions we get about our leagues, is how do we manage substitutes? It's always a common concern. What do we do? What's the best way to do it without affecting everything else we've got running here for the software? So in this case, for substitutes, two things I would stress here. One is, again, the help menu. You hit help, you literally type in subs in the search of the knowledge base. You'll see the first article comes up as using subs in the league. They say a few different scenarios here. What are you doing if it's subs needed, the pairings haven't been created, or if they're already created and organized by team, or if they're not organized by team yet. In the example I'm going to show you here, it's going to be what we're looking at here. The pairings have been created, and we are organized by team because we created the round robin schedule. So what we're going to do, let's just say this is the case where these are set and you get a call as the administrator of the league the day of the round that somebody has to bring a substitute. How do you handle that? Again, we can go to the rounds menu. We go to round, divisions, flights, teams here. And this is going to bring up our teams. There's an option down here at the bottom to manage the team list. And then we can manage the teams. This is the same process for two things. One would be if you have the case of a team that has multiple players already, and I think we have an example. There's examples down here, potentially this team. You can edit the team, manage subs here. This team, which has myself and Martin Emino, we could pick a player already on our team, which is Brad Kane, who's just not playing this week. We could put Brad in there. I could take myself out and put Brad in. Hit go there. And you see it says change list to be saved. Mario substituted Brad. I'll save that. But we also have another example. This could be the person who's brand new that we need to put in. If I go to our team list here, and let's just say it's on this team with Neil Gilman and Tony Regina. Again, click that manage subs button. We've taken the liberty of putting in a couple new players for this round who are not on the team yet. This will be their subs. So if I had Neil and he was out, I could pick a list here and say, all right, I have webinar sub number 1. That's our substitute player in this case. So Neil's out, webinar sub number 1 is in. And again, we hit save team and pairings. And just to show you how that works moving forward there, if we now go into the rounds menu and we go to enter the hole by hole scores, another great thing about this program is always using, if you're trying to test things out, this random scores button is a great way to make sure that everything's working the way you intend it to. So in this case, I'll hit random scores. It's going to fill in for round 12 our random scores. We have a Better Ball of Partners 10-point match format set up. And we can view and edit the scorecards here, or we can test the leaderboard. Let's test the leaderboard and see what that looks like. Again, we're going to get that progress bar that runs to make sure that we're doing everything properly. It's going to run through its scoring the event based on the format we created. And we're going to make sure that those substitutes are in place where we thought they were and show you how that appears on a leaderboard in this case. You can see it's looking through our round here. And in this case, it's actually making sure that everything was scored. It's got all the other league rounds that were previously processed. It's counting them all together because it's got to count these in with the leaderboard for the full season-long points we have as well. So we'll get there momentarily. It'll have our round for this week, and then it'll show us not only what the results were for our single round here, but also how the standings look for the whole season. So that's another important part of these leagues. You can run these season-long competitions too. But again, we're in our round here for July 7th. We can look at a few different ways. We can look at the individual matches. You see Brad is with Marty. That was the substitute we made there. And you see Tony with Webinar Sub 1. Those players are in now. We can also look at the aggregate results to see who got the most points. It shows the team name here without the substitute in place there, but if you look at the individual match, the substitute is in place. Team points summary. Again, it took the team name of the first 2 players on the team based on the settings we created earlier. So if you want to use substitutes in a league, not a difficult thing to do. You can either add the golfer to your round roster, mark them as attending, and then pick them from that list that we talked about, or you can simply substitute a player in if they're already marked as a member of that team. It's a simple process to do, and again, that knowledge base is the way to go. You hit that, you type in subs, it takes you step by step through that process. Another nice feature about the league program is if you go to the rounds menu, and if we had the ability to post scores here, if we had that selected, you'd be able to post scores to GIN right here. I don't have that option clicked in here for the round right now, but would be another thing that you could do, post your scores directly to GIN if everybody has a GIN number set up. Just another great feature of the program, not only to be able to put the scores in and run your results here, but also to post them to the golfers' GIN records as well. So that's what we have for a round robin test and a demonstration. I don't know if we had any questions come through. I don't see any, but if you have any right now, feel free to put them in the questions pane. And if we don't have any, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions come in, Mario. And yeah, just one thing to emphasize with on the screen here. I know we switched Mario's name with Brad, and Marty was on that team as well. So there were 3 players on that team. What we often see with most leagues is that team name would actually be a name, whether it's No 3 Putts or Weekend Warriors or something like that. Yep. And then all the players listed under there. So just to kind of make that idea a little easier. Yep. But yeah, so if no questions, I will switch over to my screen here and we'll talk about using round signups. Oops. Hold on, I need to switch back real quick. All right, and we did have one question come in, and I will touch on that in mine. It was at the end, how do we send an email, or our league an email? We can definitely touch on that. So what I've got set up here is for round signup. So essentially what this is it's a little bit different than what Mario just talked about. What in Mario's situation, it was more for a league that has teams and there's a schedule throughout the year, and maybe a couple people come from a 5-person team in a given week. This is more, what I'm going to be talking about is more for an individual type of league where there might be 50 people in a league and you don't know who's going to show up on a given week. So sometimes there might be 30 people that show up, sometimes there might be 15, sometimes all 50. You just really never know. But ultimately, you want to take the work out of your hands and just let the golfer inform you if they're coming or not, so you don't always have to be tracking down players. So we actually see a lot of clubs use this for like a weekend Saturday game, a group of maybe 40 players that play every Saturday morning use this. So even it's not really, they're not really using it as much as a league, but with the same functionality. So a lot of flexibility with this. So what we did is I added 20 players to just a sample roster. What I did, what's important for this, and we'll touch on it here in a second, is to make sure that emails are in for everyone. And obviously, since this is a test, I just have my own email because I don't want to be sending emails to other players. but a lot of this functionality can work very easily with the emails. So what I did is I added the 20 players. Again, these are everyone that could potentially play. So these 20 players, some weeks it might only be 10, some weeks it'll be all 20, but it's going to be a subset of that 20. So you would put as many people as could potentially play. Then I added the rounds, and if we go to the tabular view of the calendar, we'll show all the rounds. So in this case, we have 21 rounds. And then there's a couple ways for you to get players to sign up. One is you can open signups automatically, or sorry, open signups just manually. So from this screen here, which again is the tabular view of the calendar, you can click on any specific round. We're just going to do round 2 here. And at the top here, there's a couple options. What we're going to do first is just accept signups. So again, when you accept signups on the portal for the league, the player will be able to sign up, and also for you can send invitations at any time. And then what we'll touch back on in a second is scheduling the signups and open, so automatically opening up the signups at a certain time. So we'll start with just the manual way. So we'll accept signups for round 2. So if we go into round 2 on the admin side, it has a close signups because signups are open. And at any time, we can click manually from the round menu to send invitations. You can put in a message, so please sign up for round 2 at your convenience. Test, 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 just to show where it comes on the email. And then we'll send it. So what this does is you can send as many of these invitations as you want. And those invitations are only going to be sent to players that haven't responded to an initial invitation. So I'm just pulling up my, my email on another screen, and I'll pull over the email that I get. So again, the banner for the league, and then it's hi, player name. And then this is the message that I put in. So please sign up for round 2 at your convenience. It says you can customize this messaging too, but this is typically pretty good. And then the player then would have the option to click if they're playing or not playing. So I'll say I'm playing. You recorded your registration, you're all set for round 2. You can send a message to the manager. So you can send that message to the manager. We'll show where that comes up. So now if we go back, we're back on the manager side here. If we refresh this page, it now has the one confirmed player, which is myself, that I just signed up. And the star next to it means that a player answered an event invitation. So that means if we resend the invitation, so if we go back up to rounds and send invitations, it would just send to the 19 players or how many ever players did not have an asterisk on their name here. So the other good thing is that you can do a combination of people replying to that invitation or just coming into the shop or calling you, or maybe someone plays and says, hey, I got the email, but I can't play on Saturday. You can also, from in this this section here, from rounds to round player roster, you can go in and manually click on the players that are either attending. So we can say all these players came in at some point and said they want to attend. Again, they're bolded now, which means that there's been action on them, but the star indicates that it replied to on their own. And then you have the 9 players that aren't playing. So let's say we're done there. The 9 players are all set. Actually, one will go here. The other way players can sign up is not only from the email, but they can go to the portal. Again, good time to remind you that next Tuesday on the March 16th, we will be doing a session on portals, so we can go and talk about how we get the portals, how they'll be looking here. So, but anyway, in the apps menu, you can send out this member portal address, provide them with a GGID, and they can come here to the portal. So this is, they would just type in that, that address, put in the GGID that you would provide for them, and then they would be in. And whenever there's rounds open for signups, on the left-hand side here, there will be this league has rounds for open signup. And there will be a drop-down list of every player in the league. So for example, let's say we want Test Junior to sign up. You can have a validation. So I had a local number validation in here. So a player could only register if they knew their local number. That validation is optional. But for the sake, just for increased security and privacy, players obviously signing up themselves, you can put in that number. So for Test Junior, let's say his local number is 21, which we put in the system. They can validate themselves. And then they can sign up for any of the rounds. You can do it all at once too, which is nice for any round that's open. So let's say for Thursday, March 11th, round 1, can sign them up. And again, you can send a message to the manager as well, or sign up other guests. So if we go back to the manager side, and it was Test Junior, who's now not attending. Oh, sorry, we're in round 2. It was round 1. If we go back to the confirmed player roster, that's the one we originally signed him up for. Test Junior with the asterisk confirming that the player responded to the invitation themselves. So then the nice thing here is with that, you can now, you have the 8 confirmed players. If you go to create new pairings, it's just going to take those 8 players. So then you can do automatic scheduling, which is always nice because it'll randomly pair the players looking at previous rounds and saying, you know, Steve played with Test Junior a couple times in the past. We're not going to pair them together this time. And then, yeah, the warning here, you can't schedule a round where you're still accepting signups. So we'll close signups and then continue. And again, now there's just only those 8 players. So that's really nice. Once you close the signups, you can just go ahead and push out the pairings. You don't have to do any extra work there. It's just automatically filtered in by who's in there. So it looks like no other questions. We'll go through the other way, probably the more common way with signups now. So again, we're still back in this calendar menu and tabular view of calendar. And then, so what we had done is we had just gone into a round and accepted signups. What's really nice is you can schedule these. So theoretically, you could do it for the whole year. So we'll go 3 through 21. And we'll choose to schedule signups open and close. So let's see, just to refresh my memory, this is a Thursday night league. So let's say we wanted every Tuesday to send out an email to the players asking them if they want to play. So we could say 2 days, which would be Tuesday, and we could send it out at 8 a.m. And that's when the signups would open. And if you have this option checked here, it'll automatically send the email invitation. So what we had done manually in the first go around, it'll automatically send it 2 days before at 8 a.m. Then we can, let's say that the times always go off at like 4 o'clock. We can close signups the day of, so 0 days before, and do it, you know, maybe 2 p.m. just to give a couple hours to create the pairings and print the scorecards. You could even do much earlier than that. You could do 11 a.m. even earlier, but the flexibility there. Then if you hit go, you'll now see the signups aren't open, but it'll show exactly when they'll show up. So for this round on March 25th, the signup will open 2 days before again, Thursday or Tuesday, March 23rd at 8 a.m. And then it shows that they automatically close the day of at 11 a.m. So again, emails automatically go out at that time. Players are able to respond. They also open on the portal so players can check the portal. But if at any time you did want to send the reminder, you could always come back in, and I think round one's the only one that's still open. At any time that signups are open, you can go into invitations and click send invitations, and that would just send it again. Again, sending it to players that had replied the first time or had not replied the first time. So if someone replies, they would not get it again. And then lastly, we did do the portal messages from the members. So when I signed up myself from that email, I prefer an early tee time. All that information comes in the round communication center. So portal messages from members shows please go off early. So that's where those show up. So that is the round signups. Just to answer the previous question, which it kind of ties in here, is emailing players from a league. So you can do that either from the rounds menu. There's a manage emails here, or the golfers menu. There's a manage email. So we'll start from the rounds menu. And it shows the event invitations that we already sent out, but we could hit compose email. And then again, we could do the attending roster or the not attending roster, or we could do all golfers in the league. So 3 really specific options, which are all nice. So all golfers would be all 20 in the league. Attending roster would be just the 8 that were signed up, and then the non-attending roster would be the other 12. Could also just do specific golfers. So let's say we just wanted to do attending, and let's say we close signups at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. it's still wet out and it's going to be cart path only. I could reply to myself, and you can say subject league today due to overnight rain, we will be cart path only. Tee sheet is here, and you could link to the portal and send it out that way. So hope that answered that question. If you want me to further elaborate on that, please let me know. And again, if we do it from the golfers menu and manage emails, there won't be those roster options. It'll just be to all golfers. All golfers or specific golfers. So there wouldn't be the attending roster versus the not attending roster. Or just send it to everyone in the league potentially. So that's what we had prepared for that. While we have a little bit of time here before 10:30, just want to show a club that did do a good job with that. It was Radley Run Country Club. So they did, if we look, they had used round signups. So if we look back on their manager side, what they did really nice is they kind of mixed up the format every week. And they did a good job of renaming the rounds what the format would be. So again, 1 best ball par 5s, 2 best ball par 3s, and 4 on tee time. So they would always show if it was shotgun or tee times for the most part. And just a different type of format every week just to mix it up. Players could see what the format was going to be and then go there. And then each specific format had a different amount of points allocated to it. And what they did was they added a player league standings, which again is available for any club to use. And then if you see, you can see how many times players played, how many participation points, how much they won, average score, low score. Then if you further click on a player's name, it shows all the areas where they earned some type of points. So here on the best 2 balls of 3, won 20 points there and 5 points for participation. 37-33 on points. So again, we'll touch on portals next week on Tuesday, but they do a good job just adding a couple simple pages. I mean, there's probably still more that can be spruced up with the banner and background image and things like that. But as far as getting the information, you have the player league standings, and you also have the results. So you can go into any round and click on the results, see the scores. So kind of a one-stop shop. As soon as you send out that portal link, players just are conditioned to going there. The link never changes. So they, as soon as the scores are updated and published to the portal, you don't really have to do anything else. It just all appears there. And if the player has to leave earlier for whatever reason, they can come back later and check out how many points they won or where they stand in the league standings.
I think that's about it for us today, Steve. I don't see any other questions that have come in, but if anybody has a last minute one, please put it in now. We will be uploading the recording of this webinar to our website at gapgolf.org/gap-webinars. We'll email that out too. But the recordings will be up there for all 4 of these webinars after they are concluded. Again, next week we have portals discussion on Tuesday and reports on Thursday. We'll dive into those and show you a lot of details on how to spruce those up and make them look nice and enhance the experience for your players.